Good afternoon, and welcome to TCS World Travel's Discovery Series live event. It's our pleasure today to explore the hidden gems of the U.S. Hawaiian Islands with one of TCS's most experienced expedition leaders, Susan Sagaski. Susan will be in conversation with TCS's own Jess Seppi, and they have a wonderful program planned for us today. Later in the broadcast, Alex Cancro will join us. She's one of our luxury custom travel consultants, and she'll be able to answer any of your travel-specific questions you may have. My name is Susie Lukacs. I'm a Director of Business Development at TCS, and I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items with you before we get started. First, turn the volume all the way up on whatever device you're listening to us on. Second, your audio was automatically muted when you joined the broadcast today, but you can reach us in real time by using the question and answer box on the bottom of your screen. If you click on the box, it'll open up. You can type in your question or comment, press submit, and we'll see it in real time. We will try and respond to everybody during the broadcast, but if we're unable, rest assured, we'll send you an email. And your comments will be, and your questions will be private, so they'll only be viewed by the TCS staff. On your screen, you see two large boxes. One's the presenter box, and the other is the Explore Hawaii box. These boxes are resizable and movable, so please adjust them to fit your particular screen. Down again on the bottom of the panel, you'll see a green box to the right of the question answer box. And that's our resources box. That is filled with interesting information about Hawaii and other destinations where we're traveling. So please take your time, look through those resources, download what you'd like. To the right of that box is a blue box, and that's a speaker bio box, and you can learn some more information about our expert, Susan Sagaski. We're going to be sending out 3 brief polling questions today during the webinar. These are less than 30 seconds, but they really do help inform us as we plan our journeys for 2021, 2022, and 2023. We're going to send one out now so you know exactly what to expect. Have you ever traveled with TCS or one of our partners before? Simply click on yes or no, press submit. And we really do appreciate your participation with this. I see the answers coming in, the responses are coming in already, so thank you so much. So without further ado, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce you to my colleague, Jess Seppi. Jess is the Enrichment Manager at TCS, and she's responsible for the rich cultural and educational content that everyone experiences on a TCS or one of our partners' journeys. If you have ever traveled with us before, you've benefited from our contributions. So again, without further ado, my sincere pleasure to introduce you to Jess Seppi.
Thank you so much, Susie. So as Susie mentioned, I manage the enrichment side of our programming. And one aspect of that is working with remarkable experts to curate relevant and engaging content around our destinations. So I was super excited to hear about Hawaii coming up as one of our newest itineraries. To help us learn a bit more about these spectacular islands, I've brought in one of these remarkable experts and co-creator of this trip in particular to share her insight with us today. We are lucky to be joined by one of our expedition leaders, Susan Sagaski. A native Oregonian who still calls the Pacific Northwest home, Susan left the corporate world to pursue her dreams of exploring the world and considers herself fortunate to now have her profession align with her passion for all things travel. She has led over 45 private jet trips for TCS and has visited over 90 countries so far, she tells me. She is now active in creating new, closer to home itineraries for TCS's luxury custom travel division. Thank you so much, Susan, and welcome. We're glad to have you here today.
Aloha, Jeff. And a big aloha to our TCS travelers. I am thrilled to be here to talk to you about and share with you our Hawaiian Island by private jet journey itinerary. And actually, we've gotten feedback from our travelers that they want to travel, but perhaps stay a little closer to home. So we've actually developed 11 new North America-focused itineraries that you can find on our website. And I guarantee you that they will get your wanderlust going. But today we're talking about a trip that I'm really excited about, and that is the Hawaiian Islands.
Oh, me too. I'm already excited about it. I mean, looking at this photo alone, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. So let's start with the question that's top of my mind. And it's that you had a big hand in the creation of this journey and the additional ideas should people want to customize it and make it a little bit more of their own. So why Hawaii?
Well, Hawaii no ka oi. Hawaii is the best. I know I fell in love with the islands and was so touched and moved by the aloha spirit that I still have a love affair going with the islands. So we were looking at the United States, and Hawaii was the last state in our union in 1959. It was a monarchy, and it is culturally diverse. Geographically, it's rich and beautiful. It's easy access from the United States. So we thought, how great to plan a TCS style trip to do some island hopping. And Hawaii is definitely a sophisticated and a developed destination. So really what we tried to do, and I hope we've accomplished, and we'll share that with you today, is seek out the cultural opportunities. Let's take a look at the sometimes hidden aspects of the culture, and let's find the hidden gems. So there's plenty of time for sunset cruises and beach walks, but we also will dive into the culture of Hawaii as well as some really hidden gems that are off the beaten track. So let me share a bit of the itinerary with you. So these are the Hawaiian Islands, and the trip begins in the island of Kauai, the Garden Isle. And from there, we have a day trip to Niihau, the Forbidden Island. From there, we travel to Molokai, the Friendly Island. From there to Maui, the Valley Island. And Lanai, formerly known as the Pineapple Island, is now the Private Island. And then the trip finishes on the Big Island of Hawaii. Of course, all of those, that routing is in your own private jet. So the travel between the islands will be as efficient, easy airport access on your own time, and it'll be an exciting itinerary.
That looks beautiful. And I love that you touched on some of the uniqueness of the islands. You know, I think when we were chatting about this, you know, you really conveyed that every island has its own flavor. Every island is a bit different. You know, the geographically rich came up. And I know when I think about Hawaii, the first thing that comes to mind is the landscape, the massive peaks and mountains, the billowing lava, those private coves you mentioned. What are some of the opportunities that you've created and, you know, really, you know, focused on to see and experience these environmental facets, these experiential facets in unique ways, the TCS way? Right.
Well, we have created some really fabulous experiences that showcase this beautiful environment. The first is from Kauai. We have arranged a day on Niihau. And Niihau is a private island. The Robinson family still owns this island, and we have special permission to land on this island. There are about 170 Hawaiians that live on Niihau, and they actually speak Hawaiian. So it's a completely undeveloped island. So we thought, how exquisite is that to actually go and spend time on an undeveloped Hawaiian island. The people of Niihau are known for their shell lei making. And actually, this is one of my favorite souvenirs from the islands. It is a shell necklace from Niihau with these tiny little gorgeous. Thank you. I know, I love it. It's such a wonderful souvenir. So after touring the island, Niihau, by air, we will land on a completely private beach. You'll have the opportunity to do a little snorkeling, beachcomb. We'll have a gourmet picnic lunch set up for you, and you'll just relax and have a really authentic island experience. Then we make our way to Maui, and we have another incredible day planned of adventure. And first, your helicopter will pick you up in the Kapalua area where you'll be staying at the Montage. And we head to the National Park, Haleakala National Park. Here you see it's about 10,000 feet. It looks like moonscape, really otherworldly. And this is actually a shot of Haleakala at sunrise. We'll tour that, and then we'll head to the quiet side of Maui, and that's the Hana side. So we'll be traveling by helicopter, and you won't have to deal with that curvy road all the way to Hana. You'll have an opportunity to hike. You can soak in the 7 sacred pools. There's an incredible giant bamboo forest there. You can take a walk through there. We have the manager of the regional organic fruit farm to give you a private tour and have a beautiful lunch there as well. But wait, the day is not over, because you'll head back to your beautiful villa, and we have a special evening plan for you. There's a grass shack that was vintage from, say, the 1940s. It just hangs over Hanomo Bay, and we'll have a gourmet chef-prepared meal for you as the sun sets. So it will be a beautiful day in Hawaii.
Well, and I love that you mentioned the helicopter trip to Hana, because if you're there, you have to see it. But, to do that, the road to Hana is quite the undertaking. So, to take all those, the difficulties out and make time for all these other experiences is wonderful. That's exciting.
Yes, and the opportunity to see these volcanic islands from the air is really special. And this is actually a shot of Volcanoes National Park, Mount Kilauea on the Big Island. And again, we have an incredible day scheduled for you there. You will travel by helicopter over the national park, and then you'll also be landing in around these gorgeous waterfalls of Hawaii that are accessible only by helicopter. So you'll be able to really get to these hidden gems, these really rarely explored scenic destinations. So also that should be an incredible day. When we arrive in the Big Island, that night we have an arrangement with an expert astronomer that will take you to the top of Mount Mauna Kea. Again, another volcano. It's about 13,000 feet, and you have the opportunity to stargaze in this crystal clear sky. And your expert is also trained in the navigation with the constellations. So that's the way that the Polynesians would travel in the region. And it's seeing a resurgence of popularity in celestial navigation today. So that'll be a special evening on top of Mount Mauna Kea. Last but not least, we have a opportunity to do some night snorkeling with these magnificent creatures, the manta rays, and they can get as big as 25 feet wide. They're super gentle, and you'll have an opportunity to mix and mingle with the manta rays.
Mixing and mingling with the manta rays sounds pretty dreamy.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Well, and I love that you mentioned the celestial navigation, which is so tied to the Hawaiian culture and, the resurgence we're seeing now where people are, circumnavigating the globe in these wooden boats the original way. Like there's so much deep history with Hawaii, with its monarchy, and even today. And, with this vibrant culture and deep history, this aloha spirit, as you keep mentioning, in the trip you proposed, are there other opportunities to see this Hawaiian culture in a true, authentic way?
Absolutely. We have arranged for on the way to Maui, we stop in Molokai, the friendly island, and we will be hosted by a cultural expert. He lives on Molokai, and he will host us as we tour the island. But something that many people don't know is that the hula did originate in Molokai. And it's the traditional type of hula. It's a spiritual expression of dance. It's an expression of the culture. And so we're actually going to be taken to the spot where hula was created, and we will see a traditional style hula at that exact spot. So I love dance as a form of expression, and it's been so wonderful to see how it emerges as an expression throughout the world. So it'll be special times to see the hula in Molokai. Also in Molokai, we were going to have the opportunity to do a picnic lunch, and we'll have some chefs there with us, and we will have the opportunity to make some poke from the local fish, as well as poi, the traditional taro root dish that has a lot of cultural significance in Hawaii, and we'll be learning about that as well. From Molokai, we also have wonderful cultural opportunities in the island of Lanai. Lanai has about 3,000 people that live there, and they are committed to preserving the Hawaiian culture, the beauty of the Hawaiian culture. So there we have hikes planned with locals to Sweetheart Rock they'll talk story to you and talk to you about that sacred place on the island of Lanai, how the Hawaiians would use that site in their ceremonies and their traditions. We also are going to be visiting the island by ATV. There's about 30 miles of paved road on the island of Lanai. So we're going to get up close and personal, and we'll be going to a former fishing village. You'll have the opportunity to throw some nets out and fish and really learn about how people have lived on the island of Lanai.
That is gorgeous. Oh yeah, we have to show this one. This is beautiful.
Yeah, actually this is Sunset Rock on Lanai at sunset. So there you go. So that's all I can say is come join us. We would love for you to travel with us, and we'd love to create a beautiful Hawaiian itinerary for each and every one of you.
Well, and I think you really hit the nail on the head, which is Hawaii is this great, very close, I think, you know more than most that, there's so many amazing places in this world that sometimes we skip the ones that are closest to us. And Hawaii is this great intersection of culture and history and food and, landscape, and everything is so picturesque. So it's a great reminder. This is some great points. Thank you so much, Susan.
Mahalo. You're welcome.
So I think now it would be great to take some questions from the audience. And just as a reminder, and to tack on what Susie mentioned in the beginning, that little Q&A box at the very bottom of the screen, feel free to click on that and type in your questions. And if we don't get to everybody, our team at TCS will definitely respond to you individually. So one of the first questions we got, and I'm particularly curious about what your answer is, Susan, is, in your opinion, what is the must-see islands? And I'm always curious what people's favorites are. So, what's your favorite? But if you can't choose, you can give me a couple. That would be fair.
Okay. All right. That is a tough question. I am a big fan of Maui. I love the powdery white sand beaches. And for this itinerary, the thrill of being on the undeveloped island of Niihau, and also seeing the hula where it was created in Lanai. So I really love to learn about the cultures of the places I'm visiting. So each of those islands are intriguing.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I love that you mentioned 170 residents on Niihau. I mean, that is true solitude and true, preservation of a place. So that sounds particularly, stunning. Another question we received is, and I think there's a couple parts here too that I'm curious about, is I would have loved to see 3 days on Oahu, which I think is, I would also love 3 days on Oahu. And, to tack on to that, we've had a lot of questions about, exploring maybe the military history of the island. So are there opportunities to maybe see some of those pieces?
No, absolutely. This itinerary is completely customizable to the dates you want to travel, the exact islands that you want to see. Say, for instance, if you want to add on Oahu at the end, absolutely. And what we'd love to do is find out what you're interested in. Say, if you would like to have a focus of World War II on Oahu, we certainly can set you up with an expert on World War II to tour the USS Arizona. So as you wish. And again, this itinerary is completely customizable. So if you want to go to Hawaii, let's go.
Well, I definitely want to go. And I love that you mentioned the expert guides and the specialty guides. I think that's something that is really exciting is, we connect you with these excellent astronomers who can really interpret what the night sky looks like in a place with zero light pollution, or we can connect you with, a military history expert to really bring to life that experience, as well as, I know one thing that you and I have in common, Susan, is shopping, and we can connect you with people who can help you with shopping experiences, help you find the best pearls. Like, there's anything that you're super jazzed about, we want to be able to help you bring that to life in a unique way. So I think we've got a little bit of time for one more question with you before we have to move on. But this is an important one, is what is the best time to visit Hawaii? What's the best time of year?
Well, that's the beauty of Hawaii. There is no bad time to visit Hawaii. It's 12 months of beauty. The holidays are great. It's wonderful to be there in winter. You can see perhaps some more whales that are migrating through. So it really has 12 months of exquisite weather. So no bad time to visit Hawaii.
No bad time. That's perfect. That's wonderful. Well, and I love that, we were chatting about this earlier and somebody mentioned, the best time of year to go whale watching in Hawaii is that January to March. And you and I live in the Pacific Northwest, which is a time to get out of it during that period. So that sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Susan. That was incredibly interesting and illuminating, and the photos were gorgeous. So thank you for sharing all your expertise with us today.
You are so welcome. Mahalo. And it was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So we received some other questions in advance, as well as some questions that are still coming in that are related to the customized trip itself and kind of the operational aspects of our trip. And for those, I'd like to bring in Alex Cancro. So Alex is a travel consultant in our luxury custom travel department and has been with TCS for 5 years. Having traveled to over 30 countries, Alex continues to pursue new experiences and hopes to create unforgettable journeys for our guests, just like this one. So welcome, Alex. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Jess, and hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, it looks like we've got some really good questions here. And I think one of the most common and one of the ones that we receive most, and that I'm sure that you've been speaking to a lot of guests about, is what options are there to keep us traveling safe?
That is a great question, Jess, and I'm really glad this was asked because in the middle of a pandemic, it's on everyone's mind. So one option that we're offering is to have a private jet, and the private jet will pick you up and take you home from Hawaii. With this, we're able to organize private lodging, private villas, personal chefs, private drivers, so you're spending your time relaxing and not worrying about the details. But I will say, Jess, that with this, everyone's comfort level and expectations are different. So I'm here for you all to discuss one-on-one what safety looks like for you.
That's excellent. And I know that it is, such an individual decision. And, we are aware of the 14-day quarantine as it stands right now. Our consultants like Alex, you'll be able to chat with her and say, what does this trip look like in a month from now? What does this trip look like in 4 months from now? There is a lot that, perhaps we can't cover right now, but I know that you are wholly aware of. So, in that same breath, what does availability look like in the next 6 months? I know historically you would have been able to kind of tell us, what is the ebb and flow of that busy season, and does that busy season still exist?
Yeah, that's another really good question. I would say there is a chance, especially on the less visited islands, that the availability will be limited. So if you have dates in mind, let me know and I can start looking at availability. But an alternative to this is the private homes, the private accommodations. So it's an alternate if the hotels are full that we have in the itinerary. And as Susan mentioned, Hawaii is a phenomenal destination all year round. So there's a lot of flexibility for different activities in different seasons.
Wonderful. Well, and, in that same conversation of perhaps I want more of an adventurous trip, or perhaps I want more of a luxury trip, or more of a solo trip, in the resources below where you can click on those PDFs, the trip says it's for six spots for the Hawaii trip. So what if it's just me and I want to travel by myself? What if it's me and my favorite basketball team? What do these spots mean?
I love that question. And it's one I get a lot from you all on interesting calls and learning about more and more about what people are looking for, whether it's a partner that you're traveling with or your family. And so what I'll say is this itinerary particularly is based off of 6 travelers. And so you will not be combined with other passengers who are not in your party. And depending on your group size, we'll price the itinerary to reflect the number of people who you're traveling with. And I will say in the classic TCS way that everything is included. So all accommodations in the itinerary, your meals, the amazing private experiences, your private drivers, local expert guides, and all of the luggage handling. With this, we also include all gratuities, so you never have to worry about taking your wallet out at the end of a tour. And another thing I do want to mention is we can have one of our phenomenal expedition leaders, who I'm sure many of you have had the opportunity to travel with. They can join your group and take care of all those logistics so you're relaxing during your time.
That's fabulous. And, again, with that, I don't want to, understate the current quarantine with Hawaii. We definitely are aware of it and you guys are staying on top of it. But as you're planning in advance, it seems like they can work, call you at any time and ask you what the best way to navigate that is. And especially if they're planning for such a large group, maybe in advance, there's some ways that they can kind of plan for that. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Give me a call and we can talk through it. Yeah.
Fabulous. So, and I think we touched on this a little bit, which is, can I adjust the itinerary if I've already been to a couple of these destinations? So for folks who've maybe been to the Big Island, or maybe have spent some time in Maui, or maybe they're super excited about those shells on Niihau like I am, and they want to spend more time there, can they adjust the itinerary?
Another great question, and I love this question, and the answer is yes. As I'm sure many of you have been to one or all of the Hawaiian Islands, we can absolutely customize this trip for your adventure style or your luxury style. I will say that I like to think of our itineraries as a jumping off point, and then from here we can customize them to suit your needs and plan a trip on what you're interested in. And with this, as Hawaii is definitely on top of mind, but there's plenty of other itineraries that we have, and there's really a plethora that we've been working on during our downtime. And I would say we have a Pacific Northwest itinerary, we have a Southwest itinerary, there's Caribbean itinerary that we have, a trip to Mexico, Alaska. So if you're looking for a different kind of trip, I urge you all to give me a call and we can talk through any or all of the trips.
Wonderful. And I love that you talk about the different types of trips. So whether that's the Southwest or Mexico or luxury or adventurous, someone had a great question about what jet is being used for this. So when you talk about customizability, it really is, everything is unique to that group. Is that right?
Yes, that's entirely right. So whether you have a group of 2 or 10, we would customize the jet and the itinerary for those amount of people based in your party.
That's fabulous. And that would go the same for, all the safety measures, which we're on top of as TCS is, we're working directly with the hotels, directly with our agents, directly with all contacts to ensure that it's the safest, most ideal situation for you. And, if you have some dates in mind, calling Alex and calling some of our team members, you know, they can definitely get ahead of that and start to build the trip around and maybe like build in some of that time for you.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Alex. That was fabulous.
Thank you, Jess, and I look forward to hearing from you all.
And like I said, if you have additional questions, feel free to give us a call here at TCS, call Alex directly. I believe her email will be in the follow-up email that you'll be receiving. But we just know that there's so many questions that all of you have, I'm sure, and especially as we start to develop these trips, as you start to get something in mind. You know, Alex mentioned the Southwest trip. You know, I think you should throw in an Arches trip, a national park trip, Hawaii, pop over to Mexico, build the trip that really speaks to you. And as you speak with our consultants, they can help you build that in a way that you feel comfortable and safe and excited about. So in order to wrap us up and to, you know, send you off, let's pass it over to Susie. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jess. That was such an enlightening program. Susan and Alex, we're so appreciative of your fascinating information and insights. And of course, a big thank you to our audience for joining us today as we explore the 50th US state. Like all of you, we are eager to start traveling again. So please enjoy the resources that we've listed for you and call or contact us with any questions you may have. And mark your calendars for our next Discovery Series event on September 30th, where we'll be joined by Professor David Keeling and explore the lost civilizations around the globe. Very exciting. So we wish all of you to be well, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Take care.